Well, hey there, Kevin. Thanks so much for meeting with me today. It's great to get a chance to connect virtually with you.
Hey Brian, yeah, it's great to meet you. I've been looking forward to it.
I have as well. When you initially reached out, it sounded like your portfolio was experiencing a lot of ups and downs lately. So one of the first things I like to do with my clients is talk about risk tolerance. Is that something you've had a discussion about before?
No, I don't think it's something my other advisor ever really talked about, to me anyway. I think he said my portfolio was moderate, and I'm guessing maybe that's because I'm somewhere, how long I have till retirement. Yeah, I don't
Sure.
really know.
Well, that's actually a pretty common way to approach things. But the problem with using words like moderate is that they're not going to mean the same thing to you or to the other advisor or to me. So around here, what I like to do is to tailor portfolios to the unique needs of the individual, like yourself, and make sure that we're acting in your best interests.
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
Well, actually, I believe everyone has something called the risk number. So whether they know it or not, it's a number from 1 to 99, and it helps us determine how fast you're looking to drive down the financial road, so to speak. So risk number 1 is like having cash under your mattress. So the upside there is that it isn't going anywhere, and the downside is, well, it isn't going anywhere. But if you take the opposite side of the spectrum, a risk number 99 is like putting your entire life savings into a concentrated stock. Something like Tesla, but I'm not so sure that's always the best idea.
Yeah, no, that doesn't feel like me now.
Okay. Well, hey, my job as your advisor is to make sure your investments are in alignment with the level of risk you and I both believe supports your goals and where you want to go. All at the same time, not putting you into a situation where you're going down the financial road a lot faster and taking on more risk than you really feel comfortable with. So I think the best way to kick things off is by pinpointing your risk number with a risk assessment. How does that sound today?
Yeah, no, that sounds good actually. Now that I've heard you talk about it, I'm kind of curious to find out what mine is. So yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
All right. Okay, so first what we're going to do is talk about your financial goals. So you can choose from anything on the list here, and it's not going to impact your risk number. But these are really helpful for us to know for the entire conversation we're going to have today.
Okay, yeah, it seems like an easy enough way to start. So, I mean, for me, I want to make sure that I'm on track to retire, and I want to get help saving for my niece. I want to help her out with college.
Great. Love those goals. Okay, now this next question is really important. We need to get to know your actual investable assets so that we can identify your true risk number. So the approach I've chosen to employ with you today is built upon a Nobel Prize winning framework that focuses on the real dollar amount that's relevant to you. So let me ask, what's the total amount that you have to invest?
Yeah, I would say my all-in number is probably about $1.4 million right now.
Okay. And do you have a positive feeling about the market at large, or are you feeling a little bit more negative?
Yeah, gosh, that's a tough one, especially after the past 12 months. I mean, I guess I'd say overall, I'll go with positive, but I will say I'm a little nervous about where I might be at right now.
Hey, that's totally understandable. Well, we'll touch base a little bit on the market later, but you mentioned a little bit of hesitation there. Tell me about your personal financial future. Are you feeling more confident, or are you feeling a little bit more anxious in that realm?
Yeah, I'd probably say, anxious. I mean, there's a lot of knowns out there, and honestly, I'm kind of nervous about that.
Hey, I hear where you're coming from. There's a lot going on in the world right now. The great news is that the approach that we're taking is designed to help boost your confidence even when the markets, and let's be honest, the world at large, get a little shaky. Okay, now this next question is a little bit more interactive. So think about risk like going hand in hand. So you're going to want to pull that slider to the right. Now you can see the hypothetical dollar amounts change when you do that. Think about the next 6 months. What would you feel comfortable risking for a chance at gaining that top number right there?
Yeah, I'd probably say be right about here. But wait, can I ask real quick, if I could, why 6 months? That feels like an odd time frame.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, there's a couple different reasons for that. So for one, think about where you were at the beginning of last year. And now fast forward and think about where you are at the end of last year. Now, if your life is anything like mine, a lot transpired between those two dates. So the 6-month time frame gives us a time frame that's short enough to keep our objectives top of mind and long enough not to be overkill. So personally, I also like connecting with my clients briefly about every 6 months for biannual reviews, just to see how things are going.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I like the sound of that.
All right, now let's get back to your portfolio. If your portfolio dropped by that amount in 6 months, would you want to stay invested, or would you feel like cutting your losses and pulling completely out of the market?
Honestly, I've never been one to run away from a problem, so I think I'd stay invested. Honestly, I'd like to think I have enough life experience to know that it'd probably hurt more to lose it than try to gain it back over time.
That's how I approach investing as well. That moment when the market gives us a setback is pretty much never the time to sell. Why do you want to lock in all those losses, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, now let's look at this picture right here. Would you want to go for a gain more like this while accepting the risk of those potential losses? Again, that risk-reward piece going hand in hand. Or would you want to go with a safe bet over here and be a little bit more comfortable on that side?
Yeah, I'd probably go with the safe bet on this one.
Okay. Now, what would you choose in these next few scenarios?
Yeah, let's say this option, then this one, and how about that one?
Great. Well, there you go. That's it.
So I'm a risk number 54.
That's right, 54. Okay, now give me your first impression. How does that risk number resonate with you?
I mean, I think it fits me pretty well. I mean, I'm not afraid of risk, so I know that I'm not a risk number 1. I think you said it was something like cash under the mattress or something like that. So, being somewhere in the middle feels about right.
Great. Well, that tells me we're off to a great start. So now that we've calculated your risk number, let's review what that means in the full context of everything. And I think that's going to make a lot more sense for you, okay? All right. So here's your overall results report. So at the top, you're going to see your risk number, that 54 we talked about. And then underneath, that's our 6-month probability range. Now, I want you to think about that 6-month probability range like 2 goalposts. So over the next 6 months, if your investments were to hit anywhere in between those goalposts, we'll be able to give ourselves a thumbs up and say that we're right on track.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I actually like that goalpost analogy. It's pretty good.
I'm a big fan of it too. All right, great. So now your investment objectives are listed right below that 6-month comfort zone. And that's going to give us a guide to ensure that we're investing in alignment with what you identified there. Now, you also mentioned a few financial goals of creating a college fund for your niece and preparing for retirement. Now, your risk number pairs with your overall objectives as well as your goals to help me build the best portfolio for you to achieve all of that, now at your pace and comfort level. Does it feel like I've covered pretty much every aspect of your financial situation and goals in this plan?
Yeah, no, that seems pretty thorough. It'd be nice to know that my investments are working for me and, what I want to do.
Absolutely. Now, initially when you took the assessment, I asked about your opinion of the markets and your personal financial future. Now, it looks like you had mentioned having a positive attitude about the markets, and you were feeling a little bit anxious about your personal financial future. Can you give me a little bit more detail about what was causing you some angst?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Like we said, there's been a lot of ups and downs the past year. I want to make sure I'm successful in the long term. Obviously, it's just that the short term feels way, way more volatile than I'd like it to be. But I got to say, based on our discussion here, I am starting to feel a bit more confident about my choices.
Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear that. All right, so the risk number works because it relies on real dollar amounts. So speaking of that, let's actually go back to that results report and take a look at the initial comfort zone. So when we take a look at that, it's actually our 6-month probability range. It's just translated from percentages to actual dollar amounts. So when you look at it from this perspective, does the risk number 54 still align with your comfort level?
Wow. Woo, that's a big number. But honestly, I would say if it means potentially making those gains, yeah, I'll say it's worth it.
Well, hey, that sounds good. What I've found that with prospect theory, losses hurt worse than gains feel good. So your gut instinct is usually the most accurate one. Risk number 54 looks like it's right on target for you.
Yeah, I'd say that feels about like me, yeah.
Great. Okay, now that we've got your risk number and we've chatted through a few pieces of the big picture, I'm going to walk you through how a blend of investments I've identified in my proposed portfolio recommendations are aligned with your risk tolerance, your goals, and your investment objectives. I'm going to walk you through and show you a few ways that I can help get your investments on track. So the first piece we're going to focus on is dividends, because generating that income is really going to help your